Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Simona and I would like to show you today how I make this very simple summer dress. It is a 2-row repeat, not counting the middle section here, which is just single crochets, and the ruffles, because you can choose if you want to put them on or you can just leave it very simple. So I used cotton for this dress, but you can use any yarn that you want, and colors, it's completely up to you. You can make it in different sizes. This is a size for a 1-year-old, and I have a size for a 6-year-old right here, the same dress, except for the ruffles. I kept the ruffles off, just left it very simple at the bottom, added a couple of flowers, and this is for my daughter. It fits her perfectly. This exact dress has an elastic around the waistline, so it lies very beautifully on the waist, and it's actually quite practical as well. It doesn't let the dress stretch. So I think I said everything now, and we are going to have a look now at what we are going to need for this project. For this video, I'm going to use this yarn. This is Rainbow, 100% natural cotton from Hobby, and it is a color bag. As you can see, it has pinks and purples. They're different bags. I will be doing this dress in these purples. I am going to start my dress with the darkest color. As you can see, this is an 8/4 cotton, 100% natural. And in the back, I can see that they are recommending hook size 2.5 to 3.5 millimeters. I will be making my dress in a hook size that is 3 millimeters. Okay, so I have these colors here. Now I have bought 2 bags, so I have another set of 5 exact same colors if I need them. But hopefully this will be enough for me. So this is yarn, my hook, then we're gonna need a few buttons. I have these purple acrylic, 4 of them. We're gonna need a few stitch markers. Actually, we're gonna need 8 of them. And for the middle of the dress, I am going to use elastic. I'm gonna use exactly this one. This is just really thin, as you can see, really good one. It works perfectly for dresses for small children. Now, if you don't have this, you might just have some simple elastic like this, so you can sew it together. It just has to be as thin as possible, so it's easier to crochet over it. Now, if you don't have any elastic, you might have some ribbon. This is as well a very, it's not very wide, it's perhaps 5 millimeters wide, this ribbon. I have used it in this dress. As you can see here, I crocheted over it, and it works a little bit like a hidden belt, like this. So a ribbon works as well. But for this dress that I'm making, I'm going to use elastic because it is the best for this project. Okay, so then we're gonna need some scissors and a needle, and of course sizes or measurements. I have my own measurements right here. You can use these if you like. So this is the child's age. The biggest one that I'm gonna give is 5 to 6 years old. And then it is the measurements. So we're gonna need the head measurement. We're gonna need the actual chest measurement, this one here, because we're gonna add a little bit up to that as it is a dress. We're gonna need a yoke. We're gonna need a waist measurement. That's for the elastic, and the back neck to waist, just to know the length from the top down where our waist is. Okay, so this is that. I forgot to mention that we are going to need a measuring tape. I am going to use centimeters, so I have my one in centimeters as well. And this is the tool that is going to get us to the right size that we need. Okay, first of all, we're going to look up on the chart the size that we're going to make. So I'm making 18 to 24 months, which is 1.5 to 2 years, and the head circumference is 48 centimeters. Now look up whichever size that you are making, look up the head circumference. That is going to be the length of our starting chain. Of course, if you have the child with you and you are able to measure that, it's always better to measure the child, because measurements are for an average size child of that age. Okay, so my starting chain will be about 48 centimeters long, and these are our yokes. The number in the middle is the amount of chains. So let's say this one is 85 chains all the way around. And then, so this is the back. It has a little split in it. So it will work out as 13 double crochets, corner, 15 double crochets over the shoulder, corner, 25 for the front, corner, 15 over the other shoulder, corner, and 13 for the back to the end of it. Okay, so if you put these together, you're gonna have 85 chains. Okay, so I'm gonna get my yarn, and we're gonna do a little bit of multitasking now. Make your slip knot, whichever way that you are making. I'm gonna put my hook in, and I'm going to start chaining. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I will keep going until I get to my to the first one, 55 chains. So I have made 55 chains. That looks very, very short. I'm quite sure that is way too short for me, but I'm going to measure. So I put it in the front and I measure the length of it. So it is about 28 centimeters. I need at least another 20 centimeters for my starting chain. So I will just keep going. I will stop at 61, at 67, 73, and I will measure until I get to that closest number. Perhaps it will be my 85 chains that I will measure, and I will see that I'm really, really close to my 48 centimeters. You should do the same. Just keep trying the numbers and measure that, and whichever one will be closest to your head circumference, you stop, and we will start making the dress. So I am at 91 chains, and if I measure that, I'm just gonna, it can't all fit. So I put my first chain on the first centimeter like this, and I'm just going to measure that the best I can. Sorry, it's not all fitting, and I am just give it a little bit of pull. Don't pull it too much. So I am at 47 centimeters, which is very, very close to my 48, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I have 91 chains. And now when you are looking for whichever number, if you are just a little bit under your head circumference, you're fine, or just a little bit over 1 or 2 centimeters. Try to find that one number which is the closest to your needed length. Okay, so I am at 91 chains. You can pause the video now and look up whichever yoke works out for you, and perhaps write down the numbers. That will make it easier for you. But I have this one. So row 1 is the solid row. It's only double crochets. So I'm gonna look up my yoke. So I have 13 double crochets for the first part of the back. Whichever number you have now, you have to add one more chain. So 1. Oh, it's getting a little bit dark. So I'm gonna yarn over, find the third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, third chain, and I'm going to make a double crochet into that chain like this. I'm gonna count those 2 chains in the front as 1 stitch, as 1 double crochet, and I have the second one made now. So I have 2. I need another 11. So 2, we go into the next chain and we make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now remember, you might have a different number depending on which yoke that you are making. So I have 13 double crochets. Next, I have a corner. The corners are always going to be the same. Into the next chain, we're gonna make a double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet back into the same chain where our first double crochet is coming out of. So we have 2 double crochets in the same chain, like this. It's like a V. Then I have the over the shoulder part, which is 17 excuse me, double crochets for me. Into the next chain, and I'm start counting 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. After my 17, I have the next corner, which is exactly the same again. Into the next chain, we make a double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet back into the same chain. So corners. Then I have 27 in the front. This is the front part. You might have a different number, remember. So I'm gonna start with 1, 2, 3, and I will keep going until I have 27. Done my 27 here for the front, and I am at the other corner again. Exactly the same. Into the next chain, a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet back into the same chain. Then I have 17 over my other shoulder, and I start counting again. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make 17 double crochets. I have only made 3. Done my 17 double crochets. I am at my last corner right here. So into the next chain, I make a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet back into the same chain space. So like this. And if I have not made any mistakes, I should have 13 double crochets left, or 13 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Made a tight one, the very first one. So 13 double crochets. And our row 1 looks like this. So we're gonna get to row 2. Okay, so we are going to start with chain 1 and turn around. Yarn over and make a double crochet back into that space right under that chain 1. Like this. Now we're gonna chain 1. We're gonna skip 1 stitch under and go into the next one. I'm gonna make these little sort of a squares, those hollow squares, like this. Next, we're gonna chain 1, gonna skip 1 stitch, go into the next one, make a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet. See, should look a bit like this. And we keep going like that until we get to our corner. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Very easy. Skip 1, double crochet. Now when you get to the corner, you should have your work looking like this. Made a double crochet, I'm gonna chain 1, I'm gonna skip that 1 stitch under, and I'm gonna make a double crochet straight under those chain 2 that I have in the corner. Double crochet, I'm gonna chain 2, 1, 2, and make a double crochet back into the same space. And I have my corner made. Now coming out of the corner, we're gonna start with chaining 1, chain 1, and skip the first stitch after the corner. Go into the next one. Make a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And we do exactly the same until we get to the other corner. These hollow rows are very quick to make. Like this. And I am at my other corner, in my second corner. You see, still have 1 stitch here. I'm gonna chain 1, I'm going to skip that stitch and go straight into the corner and make a double crochet, 2 chains, 1, 2, and a double crochet back into the same space in the corner, like that. Coming out of the corner, it's exactly the same. Chain 1, skip 1, and start making your double crochets and skipping 1 stitch. And I am very close to my third corner. And again, you should end up with 1 stitch left. And we do a chain 1, we skip that stitch and go straight into the very corner. Chain 2 and a double crochet back into it. Chain 1 and start again. And we are going to do it exactly the same until we get to the very end here, where I'm going to meet, and we are going to see where we're going to put that very last stitch. I am at the end of row 2, and if you can see, I have 1, 2 free stitches left, and this is the chain 2 that is left from our very beginning. So I'm gonna skip one, make a double crochet into that stitch, chain 1, and our very last stitch should go into the top of that chain 2 that we had made in the very beginning, just into that top chain, like this. And this is our row 2 made. So next is our row 3, which is a solid row, and it starts now. You have to remember this is going to start and end exactly the same now. So chain 1, turn around, make a double crochet back into that same space right under that chain 1. Then we make a double crochet into the middle, into that space right here. Then we make a double crochet into the top of that stitch right here. Then into the middle and on the top of the next stitch. And this is all that row is going to be. Have a little knot. And we are at the corner. As you can see, I still have one double crochet here, which gets a double crochet on the top. Then it is my corner. I make a double crochet into that middle of that corner. I'm gonna chain 2, make another double crochet back into the same corner, and I'm gonna start again on the other side. So the first stitch goes on top of this double crochet, then into the space on top of the stitch, and this is all it is to our solid row. I'm just going to show you one more corner, just in case it was difficult for you to see the one before. Okay, so make one stitch here, one into that last double crochet before the corner, and then your corner into the middle, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then you just keep going with the double crochets just as we did before. And I'm going to meet you at the very end of row 3 right here. And I'm at the end of row 3. As you can see here, I made my last double crochet into the middle of the very last space here, and the very last stitch goes into the top of that stitch, or you can try and see, it should be, it's hard to show, like that little stitch at the very end of it. I'm gonna make a double crochet, so your edge should be really nice and straight. Okay, so row 4 is a repeat again, so we're gonna chain 1, we're gonna turn around, make a double crochet back into the same stitch that is under the chain 1. We're gonna make an extra chain, so chain 1, yarn over, skip, make a double crochet. I'm gonna do exactly the same as we did in the second row. I'm gonna make little hollow squares. I'm gonna get to that corner. As you can see, I make a double crochet. I'm gonna make a chain one. I'm gonna skip that stitch and go straight into that into that corner and make a double crochet, chain two, and a double crochet back into that same corner. Gonna chain one, skip one, and keep making those hollow corners, hollow spaces. I'm gonna show you one more corner just in case. And again, I make my double crochet, chain one, skip that last stitch before the corner and go straight into that. Double crochet, chain two, double crochet, chain one, and skip one, and keep going as we did before. So we keep going all the way around, and I will meet you at the very end, and just to make sure that you know exactly what to do at the end of this row. And I am at the end of this row, and as you can see, I will make chain one, yarn over, skip one stitch, find that very last stitch at the end, and make a double crochet into that, like this. Gonna chain one, turn around, and make a full double crochet row next. So I'm not gonna show anymore because this is a repeat. As we make more rows, our yoke would get longer and wider, and we just keep making it until it will be big enough for us to connect. Now I will make my yoke and then come back and show you what we need to measure to know that we are making it big enough for the child to wear. So I have finished my yoke and I am ready to connect. Now the first thing we need to measure to know that it is high enough, we need to look up our yoke. So find the size that you are making and look up the yoke. So I have 14 centimeters for my age. I'm going to take my measuring tape and measure one corner like this from top to bottom. And I have about 13 centimeters, which is just fine because the next row that I'm going to connect with is going to add another centimeter or centimeter and a little bit, and I will have the whole length. So whatever you measure, the next row is going to add another little bit to our yoke height. So my yoke height is fine. Next thing that we need to know is if we need to put any chains under the armholes when we connect. I'm gonna look up the actual chest measurement for the child that age, which is about 52 centimeters, and I'm going to add 4 centimeters to this measurement. So I would have 56 for the whole chest measurement for the dress. So 56. So you look up yours and add another 4 or so centimeters. So 56. Now I have to divide it by 2 because I'm going to measure only 1/2 of my dress. So 56 divided by 2 is 28 centimeters. I'm gonna measure that solid front from one side, from one corner to the other, and it is 26 centimeters. Now remember, I need 28, so I'm 2 centimeters short. I'm gonna work out how many stitches I can fit into 2 centimeters. I'm gonna put it next to one of the rows that I have already made, and I'm going to see, so into 2 centimeters I get 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 stitches fit into 2 centimeters that I'm missing. That means I'm going to put 4 chains under both armholes. So 4 here and 4 in that side. Okay, and then we can start connecting. Now it doesn't matter which row you are on, if you're on solid or if you are on the hollow row. The first thing we do before connecting, we need to get to that corner right here. So I got to that very first corner, and as you can see, I am on the hollow row, and I made a double crochet, I chained one, and I'm going to make my 1 double crochet into that first corner. Now if you are on a solid row, just keep making double crochets and then make 1 into that corner as well. Then we are going to chain the amount of chains if we need any. So I have counted and I need 4 extra chains under the armhole. So I'm gonna start chaining 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna find my other corner, the next corner, and I'm going to double crochet right in there. I'm gonna chain 1 because I am on my hollow row. I'm gonna skip 1 and I'm just going to keep making my row. If you're on solid row, don't skip anything after the stitch in the corner, just make your solid row until you get all the way to the other corner. I went with my hollow row all the way to the next side, and again I chained 1. I'm gonna skip that stitch, go straight into that corner and double crochet. I'm gonna chain 4 again, exactly the same amount as is in the under the other armhole. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 chains. I'm gonna find my next corner and connect into it. Just make a double crochet, and I'm gonna chain 1. If you're on solid row, don't chain anything, just keep making stitches. So now we have our yoke connected. The only other thing that I'm going to show you real quick is what to do with those chains now that are under our armholes. I'm just going to quickly crochet that row until I get here my solid row, and we'll see what to do right here. Okay, so I got to my very first armhole right here and I am on my solid row. So I'm just going to make 1 double crochet into each stitch and into each chain that I have made. So as you can see, here, 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 and it is very easy. Oops, I made a mistake. I made 1 chain here. So just the solid row is just to make 1 double crochet into each chain, and that is all until you get to the end of that row. Now if you are on a hollow row, you will just follow the pattern of double crochet, skip 1. Even if it's chains, it doesn't matter, you just look up. So let's say I would be on the hollow row, I would chain 1, I would skip 1 chain and go into the next one. I would chain 1, skip 1 chain and go into the next one. Oops. So you just need to follow your patterns and imagine that those chains are stitches. So I'm on solid, I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna make double crochets. And it's exactly the same under the other armhole. Just follow your pattern. Now we don't have any corners now anymore, so it is only back and forth until we make the top part long enough so we can make the waist. Now, how long to make it? So I'm going to put my yoke down. I'm gonna turn it out so my good side of the yoke is facing me, or like this. And I'm going to measure. I'm gonna take my chart and I'm going to look up my back neck to waist. So the size that I'm making, it is about 21.8 centimeters, and I'm going to get as close to that as I can. So I'm gonna measure from the very top, and I am at 17 centimeters at the moment, so I need another about 4.5 centimeters. It will depend on how many rows I have to make. I will try to get as close to that 21.5 about. I'm definitely not gonna make it any longer than that. So I will see you in a few rows once I get low enough to make the waist. So I am at the point where my top of the dress is done. I'm going to measure it. If I remember correctly, it was about 21.8 centimeters for my top. Now I give it a tiny little bit of pull, and it is just over 21 centimeters about. So the next row will be single crochets that will add a little bit to it, and besides, the gravity will do its job and pull on it a little bit. Okay, so I am ready to connect. I'm going to, as I am on the hollow rows, actually it doesn't matter which row you're on, just do one chain, find the other side of the top, find the very first stitch, and make a slip stitch. Chain one, and I am going to cut my yarn because I am ready to change my colors for the first time. So I am going to cut my yarn, leave a little bit of end, and I'm gonna pull that out. And my top part is done. Now I am going to add my elastic now. I have a little bit of this color left, that's from the 50 grams, and it will be just enough to make my buttonholes right here. But that is going to be done later. So now, whatever you will be using, if you're using something right here, I'm gonna start with showing you a little bit with the ribbon. If you're going to use the ribbon, just, oh, it's a very long one, sorry. Just put it on the top of that last row. Make sure that you leave end so you can tie it off. Just put it on the top, and when you're gonna be making single crochets, just make them over the top of it, all the way around. And it is exactly the same for the elastics. If you're going to use elastic like this, just cut it long enough and sew it together. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this and how I'm going to measure that. So I'm gonna take my, oh, they're very, very bright, like this. So I'm going to take my chart and I'm going to look the actual waist for that size that I'm making is 49 centimeters. I am going to measure out about 50 centimeters, maybe 1 centimeter more. So I'm gonna put it like this and I'm gonna measure that out without pulling on it. So this is my 50. I'm gonna cut that off. And as this elastic is very, very thin, I'm not able to sew it together. I'm just going to make a little knot at the end of it and make sure that it's not going to open up. Just a real tight knot. Like that. Make it real tight. Whatever elastic that you use, you need to make sure that it stretches enough to go over the head and the chest. This one is really elastic, so I am quite sure that it will be big enough. As you can see, it is a little bit shorter than the measurement at the moment. So if you're going to use this, just cut it long enough and sew it together, and exactly the same, you're going to put it on the top of that last row and crochet over it. Okay, so I'm going to change my colors. I'm gonna take my next color and make a little slip knot. Now, if you're not changing colors, just keep going from where you are. I am going to connect my yarn. And I'm going to make a chain 1. I'm gonna catch my elastic. I'm gonna try to leave that knot in the very back of it. I'm going to cover it with a little bow after I am done. Like this. Oh, there's a lot of tail ends. Okay. So I have my elastic right on top of that row. And I'm gonna start making single crochet. So I'll make a single crochet back into the same same stitch where my chain 1 is coming out of. Leave that knot. I'm gonna make 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and my third stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. So every third stitch gets 2 single crochets, whichever row you're on, it doesn't matter. So I have a space here, so I'm gonna make 1, and then 2. 1, and then 2. As you can see, I'm crocheting right over that elastic. And then again, 1, and 2 single crochets. 1, and 2. And this is what we're going to do for the whole row. I'm just gonna crochet over that elastic until I get back right here. I am at the end of this row. I have 2 more stitches left right here, 1, and I have that chain 1 that I have made. Now I'm going to make that very last stitch with the elastic looking outside. I'm not gonna crochet over that because I want that knot to be on the outside so it is not scratching the back. If you don't have any knots, you can crochet over it, no problem. And I'm just going to slip stitch to the very first stitch right here. Now it doesn't have to be exact. You will not be able to see any mistakes right here. If you have missed something somewhere, not a problem at all. Okay, so we are gonna start on our bottom part now. The first row of the bottom part is very simple and they will all look exactly the same. So we're gonna chain 2, so 1, 2, and this is going to be a solid row. We're gonna go back into the same stitch where the chain 2 is coming out of, right back into it, and make a double crochet. And now every stitch gets 1 double crochet all the way around. No increasing in this row, just 1 double crochet. And I'm going to meet you once you go all the way around right here. At the end of this first row of our bottom part, I have 1 stitch left right here. I'm going just to make a double crochet and slip stitch into the very first stitch up here. I'm going to skip those 2 chains. I'm just going to slip stitch right here. And this is how my first part looks like. Sorry, first row. Then we're going to make the hollow row. So we're gonna chain free, 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna skip 1 stitch. So this stitch counts as my free chains are coming out of this one right here, right under it. So we don't count that. I'm gonna skip the next one and make a double crochet right here. We are not going to turn our work around anymore. Skip 1, make a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and that is all there is to this row. This is the quick one. I am now finishing my hollow row of the skirt, and I'm gonna skip 1 right here, and I have actually ended up perfectly. I get to skip 1 and connect into the second chain from the bottom. So 1 and 2, like this. Now if you have more chains or spaces or stitches left under here, you can just make an extra one in there. Just chain 1, make a double crochet and chain 1. These will be just a little bit closer together, and yet you will not be able to see. Okay, so from now on we will be increasing, and after every hollow row I am going to take my stitch markers and I'm going to mark the stitches where I am going to do my increases. I've got myself 8 stitch markers because it will be 8 increases. So now we don't need to do any counting. I'm just going to lay my dress flat like this, and I'm going to mark 4 spaces, or sorry, 4 stitches on this side of the dress. I'm just going to try to space them out about evenly, and I'm going to mark the top of a double crochet right here, about here, and here. As you can see, I'm not doing any counting at all because it does not matter. It does not have to be exact. Marked 4 stitches on this side. I'm gonna turn it over, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the front of the dress. So, and I'm going to do this every time I finish a hollow row, all the way down to the dress, apart from the very last row. I will not do any increases there anymore because it will not make any difference in the very last row. Okay, so I have marked my 8 spaces, and I am just going to start my double crochets. Now to start this row, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. I'm going to make a double crochet back into that same stitch or a chain that I have connected to, like this. Then it was a chain 1 right here. I'm gonna make 1 double crochet here, and then I'm gonna make 1 double crochet into here. Now this is actually the stitch from the double crochet right here. So these first 3 double crochets look really kind of close together, but it works out perfectly. And then I have a space, make a double crochet, and I have a stitch. I'm gonna make a double crochet. I have a space and I have a double crochet, a stitch from that. And as you can see, I am at my very first stitch marker. I'm going to take that out, and in that stitch I'm going to make 2 double crochets. One double crochet into each stitch that is not marked. And right here, double crochet into that space, and the next stitch was marked, so I'm gonna make 2 double crochets. And we keep going all the way around, increasing where it has to be increased, and I will meet you back here. I am finishing this row. I have one more stitch left right here, so this is where the chain was, and my last double crochet goes in there. I skip the 2 chains I did in the beginning and find the very top first stitch and slip stitch. I'm gonna chain free, 1, 2, 3, yarn over. I'm gonna skip 1 stitch, 1 full stitch. This doesn't count as a stitch. I'm gonna skip this and make a double crochet, and I will just keep doing that. After I finish this row, I will mark my 8 places where I will do my increases, and that is all there is to this skirt. Well, almost all. There will be a few things for those people who want to make the ruffles on the bottom of the skirt, but I will show that once I get to the end. I will make the skirt first and then come back and show how we need to get ready for the ruffles. But other than that, every row you make like this, you mark 8 stitches, 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and you make an increase into them, and your skirt will look beautiful and start making a shape. Now, how long to make your dress? You can make your dress as long as you want. Now, what I normally do is I remember or measure all the top part to the waist, which was about 21, 22 centimeters for me, and I make the bottom the same length plus about 5 centimeters. So my bottom would be about 26, 27 centimeters, let's say 27, and I'm going to use 3 colors, so I will divide that 27 by 3, and I'm gonna do my color changes about every 9 centimeters. You can try and work it like that, to work out like that, as how long every color should go if you are changing colors. So I'm gonna do 3 colors as I said. And one more thing, just to say, when you are changing colors, if you are changing colors, the best place or row to do the change is the hollow row with those little squares, because it looks a little bit neater when you change on that row. But other than that, it is completely up to you. Just keep making the skirt increasing, 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 and as I said, I will see you on the bottom right here, and I will show what to do, and we'll have to do a little bit of counting to make sure that our ruffles will look beautiful. Other than that, I will see you in a bit. So I am getting finished now with my skirt. I am on my second last row. I still have one more row of double crochets to go. And now the thing that we need to do to make sure that we can do the ruffles is the rows that we will have the ruffles on has to have an even amount of these little holes. So as I am planning to do 3 rows, this will be 1 row, this will be 2nd row, and this will be the 3rd row. I have counted them all, and they are an even amount of little squares. Now I'm going to show you this on my last row. So when I finish that, I am going to connect with a slip stitch. I'm just going to make a chain so it does not run off. And I'm going to start counting. I'm going to start with the little hole here right after my knot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I will keep going until I get back here. So 100, 101, 102, 103, and 104. This is the amount of squares that I have, which is an even number, and it is fine for me. Now, if you end up on an odd number of squares, let's say it would be 103, so what I would do is I would just add an extra double crochet right here in the middle. I would just split that very last square into 2, and then chain 1 again, and then make a slip stitch. So you wouldn't really be able to see it so well, and you would have an even amount of squares. But I do not need that. And now remember, take your time, count them, and make sure it is even, otherwise our ruffles will not come out perfectly. You will not be able to connect them, as one side will be up and the other one as well, so you won't be able to connect them nicely. Okay, so anyway, so I have counted 3 rows of squares, and they are all even number. And now I am just going to finish off my very last row with simple double crochets, no more increasing, just a double crochet into each stitch all the way around. Just like that. I am finishing the bottom part of my dress. My last double crochet, I'm gonna slip stitch, chain 1, and I'm going to cut my yarn. That is it. My bottom part of this dress is finished, and now it has a lovely shape. It looks a bit nicer than in the video, I don't know why. Like this. So it looks really nice and simple, just the way it is. I really do like it. I like it like this, and I like it with the ruffles. Don't know which one's nicer. So if I measure my skirt now, the bottom part, I measure that from the waist, I'm gonna have 27 centimeters in length, just as I wanted. Okay, so now we are going to do the buttonholes right here, just in case somebody does not want to do ruffles, so they can finish their dress. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna get 4 stitch markers, and I'm going to mark 4 places on the left side of the dress where I'm going to have my buttonholes. Of course, the very first one is going to be at the very top. Then maybe what if I do perhaps here, then if I do that here, do this one right here, Just try and put them wherever you think. You can try counting the rows in between. Just make sure that you like where they are placed, that they are about the same length apart. And I'm happy with this, like that. And I am going to start from this side of the dress. Let me try and make it a bit lighter, like that, perhaps. Okay, so I'm gonna get my yarn, the same color as the top of my dress. I'm gonna make a little slip knot, and I'm going to make single crochets. Now I am going to make 2 single crochets into each row, meaning that this is a row, and I'm gonna make 1 single crochet in the top, 1 in the bottom, 1 in the top, 1 in the bottom, 1 in the top, 1 in the bottom. If you at any time feel that they are too close together, you can make less of them. Just as long as it's not pulling on itself, it will be fine. So connected on the top, I'm gonna chain 1, make a single crochet in the top there, and 1 lower down, 1 in the top, and 1 lower down. And just like that, I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom right here. So I got down to the bottom of the bag right here. I still have 1 more single crochet, and now I am at the very bottom. As you can see, this is the knot from my elastic, and there should be 1 chain in there. It's hard to see. Try and find it if you can, and slip stitch into it like that. I'm gonna turn over, and now we're gonna go up. Let me try and make it a bit more lighter, like this. So again, every row gets 2 single crochets. When I get to the stitch marker, I am going to make a buttonhole. I get my buttons ready so I can see that, to make sure that my buttonholes are big enough. So I'm gonna take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to chain. I'm gonna try chaining 2 at first, 1 and 2, and I'm going to single crochet. I'm gonna try if this buttonhole is big enough for my buttons. No, it does not fit. I'm gonna try making 3 chains. So 3 chains, I'm gonna single crochet, gonna try that buttonhole again, and it is perfect. So I'm gonna leave that at 3 chains. I'm gonna keep going with single crochets, and I am at my next stitch marker. 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to single crochet just in case. I'm gonna try it out again. Yes, fits. And I have one buttonhole left, which is at the very, very top. One, two, and three. And I'm going to make a single crochet into the very top of that row, like this. And I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to cut my yarn. Now at this point I am going to sew in my buttons right here on that side, and I am going to hide my tail ends. Now I think I'm not gonna show any of that, because if you manage to make the dress, I'm quite sure you are well able to sew in the buttons and hide the tails. So I'm going to see you after I'm done with this, and the only thing we have left is the ruffles right here. And my main dress is done. I have the buttons and everything. Now the little dot that you have here, that I have here, is the elastic that you can see. It's the knot. So I'm going to hide it under a ribbon like this. Now, if you would like to make a ribbon like that, I will leave a link where you can see the video of it. I think that gives the dress a little bit more fun, like this. So that is not connected yet, and we are going to start on the ruffles now. So I'm gonna turn my dress around. I will make 3 rows of ruffles. So row 1, row 2, and row 3. All the rows will be the same, and we will make them in a half double crochets. So we are going to start. I'll try to get the, oh, maybe that's better, I think. So we are going to start the ruffle at the bottom here, at the one stitch that we have skipped over. This is going to be the start of it, and we are going to make 2 half double crochets with a chain in between them. So every time we make a half double crochet, we will make a chain right after it, and we're gonna turn it around a little bit. So we make 2 double crochets here, then we are going to make 3 half double crochets here with a chain in between. Then we're gonna go in the front. Now in the top here, so the top does not have a stitch, so we're gonna have to kind of find that space right there. I always make it in the sort of a bottom part of that double crochet that is in that space. So we're going to have 2 half double crochets with a chain in between. Then we're gonna turn slightly the other way. This double crochet is going to have 3 half double crochets with the chain in between, and we're gonna be in the bottom again. So top and bottom gets 2 half double crochets with a chain after them, and these double crochets get 3 stitches over each of them. Now I'm going to show that all to you. So if we just think about it, we're gonna go from the bottom up right here, back down here. It's sort of like a little serpentine. Now at any time, if you feel that your ruffles are not working, you might play around with a number of half double crochets. As if you're using different yarn, you might get the ruffles real big or real small. So just try around a couple of different number of stitches that you are going to put there and find the one that you like the best. For this yarn, I found that 2 on the bottom and top and 3 over the double crochets here, it works the best for me. So I'm going to connect on the bottom of the skirt right here. I'm gonna make a slip knot and find that one of those bottom stitches, whichever one. I'm gonna connect my yarn, and I'm going to make 3 chains. 1, 2 and free. So I'm gonna count that very first free chains as a half double crochet and chain 1. I'm gonna go back into the same stitch, make a half double crochet and a chain. I'm gonna turn a little bit, find that double crochet here, and right under it I'm gonna make 1 half double crochet, chain 1, 2 half double crochet, chain 1, and my third half double crochet and chain 1. Then I am at the top. Can't seem to get the, oh, maybe that's, so I will do 2 right here in the top. So I'm gonna go under, find that space there, oops, make a half double crochet, chain 1, a half double crochet into the same place and chain 1. Then turn it around a little bit the other way, and I'm on a double crochet here. So I'm gonna make free again. 1, chain 1, 2, chain 1, and free, chain 1. Find that stitch under on the bottom right here and make 2 half double crochets with a chain in between. 1 and 2, chain. Turn a little, next double crochet and make 3 half double crochets, 1, chain 1, 2, chain 1, and 3 half double crochets and chain 1. So you can see it is going like this. Then I'm at the top again. There's no stitch, so I'm just gonna find a space up there. 1 half double crochet, chain 1, 2 half double crochets, chain 1, and I have that stitch again. Turn over a bit and 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and chain. Then it's bottom again. 1 half double crochet, chain 1, second half double crochet, chain 1. And you just need to go around those stitches. Keep turning your dress a little bit. So 1, 2, and 3. And this is all it is to these ruffles. So I'm gonna go all the way around following the stitches. It might be hard in the beginning, but you will understand how that works. And I'm gonna do it all the way around, and I come back right here, and I'm gonna meet you in that place here. I made my ruffle all the way around the dress, and if you can see here, I started at the bottom and I have finished now on the double crochet right here. So I still have the top part and that double crochet, and then I will connect. So that works out perfectly. That is because I had an even amount of these little squares. So I'm just going to finish that up. And my last 3 half double crochets. This I'm gonna chain 1, and I will connect to the third chain, sorry, the second chain. So from the bottom, so 1 and 2. And I'm just going to make a slip stitch. I'm gonna chain 1, cut my yarn, and I am done with the first ruffle. You can see it looks like that. Now don't be worried that the last row is turning under the dress. It is going to be that way because we have stretched the row above it, so this row ends up being longer than the bottom row, and that's why it turns under. With some yarns it will stretch out and stay down. With some it will not. It's not a big problem, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna hide the tail ends in between the same half double crochets that I did here. I don't think that's very difficult. And I have 2 more rows to go, so I'm just going to show you this beginning of the next row, and then we will keep doing that by ourselves off the camera. I will do that off camera. Okay, so again, slip knot. I'm gonna find the bottom stitch anywhere at all. I'm gonna connect that. Start with 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and then half double crochet. Now the next, if you're doing more ruffles, it will get a little bit harder because you already have this ruffle right here. But if you want it to look really, really beautiful, you just need to get over that and just do what you have to do. So then all the other ruffles, whatever amount you want to put on, is exactly the same. Nothing changes. You just add them up, as many rows as you want. I have this row, and I will do one more in even lighter color. So I'm gonna stop right here now because that is all repeat, repeat, repeat. And I am going to see you when I have the bottom finished. I will have the ruffles, the whole dress is going to be finished, and we're just going to have a look what it looks like when everything is done. And my dress is finished. I have 3 rows of ruffles, as you can see here. It looks very, very neat and beautiful and simple. And this is the other side from the back, as you can see. Now unfortunately the camera is not showing the real colors. It looks a bit grayish, but it's really nice and purple. And the pink one that you have seen in the beginning of this video, this is that. As you can see, both are absolutely beautiful. Different sizes, different colors, it all works out. Now thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate that, and I will wish you all the best of luck. And if you would like to contact me or ask me questions, I will leave a link to my Facebook and Instagram, and you can talk to me there. But it's bye for now.